This next chapter on angle and line relationships you will need to know before we are able to get into more complicated figures and areas. So to begin, go ahead and pause this video and copy down what you do not have in your notes. When you are done copying these, we will be referring back to these vertical angles, adjacent angles, complementary angles, and supplementary angles. But really quick, let me just go over a couple of things to make sure that you were paying attention as you're writing these down. Notice that vertical angles are opposite angles. Okay, so angles 3 and 4 are vertical angles, while angle 1 and 2 are vertical. Adjacent angles are right next to each other. They share, okay, so angles 5 and 6 share this ray. Complementary angles, we know, add up to 90, so therefore we'll make a 90-degree angle. And supplementary angles always add up to 180, which is a straight line. So they don't always have to be connected, like in your example here, but more than likely they will be. And then finally down below, your perpendicular lines, they will create and form complementary angles, because complementary angles are, again, 90 degrees. All right, so the example 1 in your book, it automatically starts off with a little bit of a, might be hard for you, okay? So the first thing you have to do is you have to recognize what type of angles these are. So using your table from before, X and Y, when they're put together, they form supplementary angles. Okay, so if you were not able to view that immediately, you need to review your notes from the previous page. The next thing that they're going to do is they're going to give you only one angle, and you have to be able to represent that with an expression or equation and to find the missing one. So here they give you angle Y. So if angle Y is 135, and we know that both X plus Y will equal 180 degrees because that's called supplementary. Well, they give you Y, so technically you can write an equation in order to solve for X. So here's a one-step addition equation. You solve by subtraction. And that's how they found that X is equal to 45 degrees, angle X, excuse me. So let's get number 1 in our notes. Angles R and S are complementary. Remember, complementary are those angles that add up to 90 degrees. So angle R, let's make this angle R, that's equal to 65.3. And we're going to make this angle S. So we know that both angles added together are going to equal 90 degrees. So angle R plus S will equal 90 degrees. So let's just go ahead and plug in or substitute what we know for R. So this right here is our equation that represents this problem. And then let's go ahead and solve this equation to figure out what S actually is. So we're going to subtract and end up getting 24.7 degrees as angle S. All right, so we have these questions that are also in your notes. So let's first identify, because it says classify each pair of angles first. So in number 1, you have supplementary. In number 2, you have complementary. And number 3, you have supplementary. So no matter what, your equation is going to add up. For supplementary, it's 180. For complementary, it's going to be 90. And for the last set, it's going to be 180 since they're supplementary. Okay? So I will do the first one with you, and then I will let you do number 2 and 3 on your own. So we know that 2 angles added together will be 180. So that means X plus 146 will add up to 180. Now just solve the one-step equation to figure out what X is by subtracting 146 on both sides. So you end up with 34 degrees as angle X. All right, go ahead and try to write the equation for numbers 2 and 3, And then after you write the equation, solve it. Okay, check your answers. For number 2, you should have gotten 27.1 degrees as x, because 27.1 plus 62.9 gets you 90 degrees. And then you found that angle x, 75 degrees. If you have any questions, come and let me know. Otherwise, let's continue. Okay, for independent practice here, now we are looking at number 1. This is not supplementary nor complementary. These are your vertical angles. So if you remember, vertical angles are equal. Okay, since vertical angles are equal, this is how you write that equation or expression. So therefore, x equals 152 degrees. Okay, here's your complementary angles again. You know how to write an equation for that one. And then number 13 is your supplementary. You know how to write and solve an equation for this one. And then number 14, part A, asks you to identify the relationship between angles 1 and 2, and then they give you angle 2. Okay? So go ahead and answer 12 through 14, and then push play when you're ready for your answers. Okay, here are your answers. Go ahead and pause the video, correct any mistakes that you might have, and then move on.